My name is Gravity, and on this episode of the Battlefield Show, Julian and I discuss all things new in the world of 2042. Updates galore. In the waning weeks of Season 4, Battlefield hits hard with 2 recent patches as of May 9th, providing quality of life changes and also the Discarded rework. This massive map has major changes. What does the panel think of the new version? Vault weapon changes. DICE responds to feedback and announces skins and an attachment rework for these legacy items. Will this improve them to the level of the main game weapons? Joining us this week to discuss all these topics and more is Battlefield Twitch streamer and a precision hunter of aircraft, KingZook. This is the Battlefield Show.
Okay, welcome back to the Battlefield Show, everybody. It's been a while, a few weeks off, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of big updates. I'm your host, JulianJanganoo, joined, of course, by my co-host, Gravity. Good to see you. And we are joined by KingZook himself. Welcome to the Battlefield Show, King. How you doing, man?
Doing very well, Julian. How are you?
Good,
Gravity,
good.
thank you all for having me here.
Hey, no problem. So we're going to be talking some Battlefield. A lot of things have been happening. Nothing like groundbreaking or anything, but we do have some updates regarding 2042. And maybe we could talk about the future of Battlefield coming up, because it looks like DICE and their other companies are working hard on the next iteration of Battlefield. And who knows how crazy that's going to be. So I think we're going to hear some news coming up. Probably end of this year would be nice to hear something about the new Battlefield game, but I would think a actual reveal would probably be somewhere like the end or the middle of next year, I would think.
I would hope even longer, to be honest, but that's just me.
I hope even longer. I don't want to wait that long. Shit.
Game needs time. Needs time.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about that straight up. KingZook, what are your opinions on the AAA scene right now? And people are putting out new games like Redfall. I mean, these are big organizations just bought out by Microsoft, which this like really freaks me out, because I'm sure this is affecting every studio out there, including DICE. Is it looking good for AAA gaming right now?
Honestly, no, I don't think so at all. It just seems like every game, AAA game that they're putting out here recently has just been absolute garbage. Horrible releases, just broken on release, and then they're playing catch up trying to fix it as quickly as possible, but that's not going to save them from the comments, of course, on Twitter and Reddit and everything else that's destroying their organization. Like Redfall, for example, that is by far the worst release of a game I've ever seen. That's on the same level as Battlefield 4 for me for release wise. That is just it was so bad. It's pathetically bad, and even trying to play it for an hour, I was just like, this does not need to exist, and I feel bad. I feel bad for the developers. I really do.
Yeah, and it's not just performance that's hitting AAA. That's a big one, of course. Yeah. But something like Redfall missed every single category. Like, it fell at every category. It's like one of the worst. I don't think Battlefield 4 failed at every category at release.
It did.
Yeah, not everyone, but
no.
Yeah.
I think performance was like the biggest issue with that, and testing as well. But yeah, it's definitely not looking good for that, and I'm worried about Starfield too, because that's like in the same umbrella.
Same.
I'm like, oh my god, I don't think Microsoft and Bethesda can really take another, because I think that's their next game, right?
Yes.
Starfield's coming out next, I believe, and I'm nervous for its release, as I've been looking forward to Starfield for what almost 10 years now. since after they kind of semi gave a hint about it after Skyrim release, and nervous, man. I've been waiting a long time. I'm like, I really want to play this game. It better be worth it. And I'm nervous with the current state of AAA games coming out as badly as they are.
Yeah, even with stability at 30 frames on release, and they're like, "Oh, 60's coming later." Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that could happen with something like Starfield or even an FPS shooter like Battlefield future. They better be thinking about this shit because Gravity's got a good point. Probably even longer at this point because of the state of AAA gaming.
The big thing is in a multiplayer game, the first month is when you keep or make or break your player base, and if you don't have that stability in that first month, then your player base is going to tank, and you don't have anything to build off of.
Yeah, and and then you got to work your way back with all those mostly negative Steam reviews. It's just kind of like what 2042 has been going through. It's steadily going to mixed and somewhat positive results because of all the updates DICE has put into the game. But you kind of want that at the beginning. And this is kind of like a trend Battlefield has been having for the last few games. So Vince Zampella and his team really need to make sure they got a pretty good launch coming up whenever they release this new Battlefield game, because they're adding the single player element back to it. What do you think about that, Zook? Huh?
I'm excited about that. It was always one of my secret little favorite things about the Battlefield series, period. I mean, I got my start with Battlefield 3, on 360 years ago.
That had the single player, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a neat thing because you got to kind of jump into the game and kind of learn the the mechanics of the game and all that stuff before actually getting into the multiplayer aspect of it, which was also enjoyable. It was great. Battlefield 3, of course, Battlefield 4, which I hate to mention, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, and stuff like that. I was kind of looking forward to it with 2042, and when they said they weren't doing it, I was like, well, that's kind of a shame. I kind of want to know a backstory, but hopefully, hopefully with the next Battlefield, if they do a story, hopefully it's good.
Man, and we were talking about this on other Battlefield shows. Me and Grav were talking about like all the new characters they introduced, like specialists and stuff.
Yeah.
This would have been the game to really push for a single player, right?
Yes.
I mean, with the amount of lore that they were talking about, they're like, "Oh, we'll integrate into the multiplayer to save time and money." Like, oh god!
And it's especially with the Exodus trailer that they released, showing Irish going down the sunken little city place area. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is cool as shit." I wonder what they're going to do, and it's like, okay, nothing basically. So, all right, cool. That was a waste of time. It looked cool, but it was a waste of time.
And at the end of the day, they still really kind of set themselves up pretty well for the next game if they want to do it. Because if you go back to the class system, if you have your main character in a single-player story be just a typical soldier, throughout the story you could just run into these specialists and actually have good character development and figure out which side they actually chose, or really kind of going into a deep dive.
Yeah, and early on when they released specialists, they all had like little quirks about them. Even though they're extremely cringy and all their like little one-liners actually memeified them, right? And a bunch of memes coming out about them. So people that even don't even play Battlefield 2042 will remember these silly characters and might put a face to the name. And who knows? Maybe that would be good recognition for the next game if they want to carry it that way. They have somewhere to a standing point for that, So I don't know. Well, would you want a Zook about a single player aspect of Battlefield? Are you expecting more of like Battlefield 3 kind of stuff, or these like war stories that they've been doing for the past 2 games?
I think the war stories worked okay with the historical aspect of the Battlefield games. That's fine.
Okay.
I think that worked out fine for that. As for anything that's more, let's talk about the future kind of thing, I don't think the war stories would work very well with that unless you're doing it individually with each and every single specialist. Maybe you got like a I don't know, say a 30-minute mission with Irish, kind of getting his backstory and what happens and what he does, or Boris or whatever. I could see them doing more stories with that, maybe with individual specialists, but that just seems like a lot of story time for each and every single specialist.
Yeah, they would have to get like I don't know, pick and choose some of the more.
Yeah,
Maybe make a new bad company out of them, huh?
yeah, something like that, or just make yourself a random soldier person following along and just doing something and finding out the story. I'd be totally okay with that. Tell me the reason why the fall and the tornadoes and all that. Give me a little bit more back history and make it look interesting, and I'll be down for it instantly.
I guess I guess we're assuming that they're continuing this because of the whole Battlefield universe. They're continuing like a sequel to 2042. You think so?
Well, they've said that in the past that they wanted to continue to explore the world of 2042. That doesn't mean that they're going to continue it, but that gives you a good hint that maybe they want to. So I don't know. That it could be, and that's the road that seems like they're putting a lot of time into it. I think the universe they built in this game, there's, like Zook said, that whole Exodus trailer, the world that they built here, the narrative is really solid. It just, the way that this game is, like, you could almost sweep this game under the rug and do a whole redo with it, really, almost. Because the world it's very interesting. There's just no development whatsoever with the world.
Yeah, they got a lot to go off of. I mean, even just with the Exodus trailer, I thought that was going to be a series that they would release like every season, like one big cinematic or something. I know those are hell expensive to make. I know that. That video alone probably cost like a few $1 million itself. But even with that video, they have something to go off of. With tone, the characters. Irish is still in the game, right? You may not have the actor, of course, rest in peace, but you can always go off of that. Like you can always go off of like Oz, that big bad that they keep talking about. Even with the new season 4 map, hell, you hear his name every freaking time you start the map up, and you're like, "Where is he, man?" I don't like.
Who is this
he
guy?
says to watch out for him. Where is he on the map? Here is he here somewhere? And stuff like that. And I yeah, they could keep going with that. But as far as the game is progressing, it seems to be getting a lot better. There's a lot more people coming in. There's a lot better reviews. They keep updating the game consistently, even though the little fixes here and there aren't that huge or anything, but some things are noticeable. And let's talk about the first update for Discarded. I missed this because I was playing Resident Evil for the past few weeks. But
It's worth it.
yeah, I know, it's a great game. But Discarded got reworked, right? That was in the plans for season 4. What has it been like? Zook, go ahead.
Yeah, so far for me, Discarded, I have absolutely loved the rework of it. I liked Discarded beforehand anyway.
Okay.
I was always addicted to 128 Breakthrough Discarded. I loved it.
Yes.
I think it was the atmosphere of the map, but yeah, the rework has been amazing for me personally. I love it. It feels like a battlefield. There's definitely more places to hide. You're not out in the open constantly as much anymore from, camping McCamperson with a sniper rifle in the back of the map, So it's definitely better. I've played it on breakthrough, defense, and attack. Defense definitely feels nicer for once. Being on a map and defending, it actually feels pretty good to me. It actually feels like we can actually defend and not get rolled over. Attack is very similar. It feels like a good back and forth. Conquest is an absolute blast for me, especially because I'm what I do. I'm a vehicle hunter. That's what I look for. And so for me, it's just it's Farmsville for me, man. I love it. I enjoy the piss out of it. I really do.
What do you think, Grav?
Without getting too long-winded, I agree mostly with Zook. I think it's a significant improvement over the original. Let's start briefly with the 64 version. The biggest issue with that, I mean, they kept mostly the same flag layout. It's the 3 in the center with the ship. Well, the 2 on the ship and then the 1 flag above it. And then there's the 2 flags, 1 northwest and 1 southeast. The biggest problem with the original one was that those 2 gimme flags were so far out in the middle of nowhere that it took forever to run back in. And they tightened those up, and that makes that map so much better for 64. That being said, I haven't played too much of it lately because, well, getting it in the Conquest playlist is a, it's a crapshoot. Yeah, it's a miracle if you randomly get that one. Breakthrough is so much better. I'm happy that they went back to the 5-sector model of that map. Yeah. I also agree that there is a lot of potential for the defending team to actually win a round, which is really nice. I like the fact that every sector feels different. There's a different type of environment, and I think that's critical for Breakthrough. The first sector, you've got those, the flat shacks. The second sector, you've got the car park with the salvage part. It's just very unique with all the stacked cars and buses and stuff. I think it's very cool. Third sector, you get down into the swamp, pretty much, where there's the radar dish and the kind of the sunken huts. And then you get to the ship, and I think that's really cool. And then you go through the debris field. I think that's the pathing options is very cool. Does it still have issues? Yeah, I still think they shouldn't have maybe the air vehicle on it, but it's a different story. Conquest 128 is also significantly better for mostly the same reasons. A lot of the flags are really tight. However, it gives the Russian team a massive advantage. There's the gimme flag of their E is like, why go there? It's still out in the middle of nowhere. And then the A flag is the car park, which is the cool part, is like everybody's fighting over that constantly. It's right next to the US spawn. Yeah. So it's kind of, you got 3 flags northwest, and then you've got the road dividing, and you got 3 flags south of the road, and then you've got the gimme flag. And the 3 flags on the ship are almost tied in, they're almost always in Russian hands. So unless the map's going back and forth, which is pretty rare, there's always a bonus flag for the Russian team. Also, the road that it sits on is like Railgun Tank Central. They have like clear view of the whole map onto the hill. It's ridiculous. It just shows the complete weakness of that game design with the vehicle. It's ruining aircraft and everything about that particular.
It's really bad. And as a person that spent like 4 days tier 1ing the Tor tank on that map specifically, it's horrible. Especially if you spawn in as the US side, you can kind of sit behind a hill and just lay them out. Every time they spawn anything out, you can kill them as soon as they spawn in. It is disgusting.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yep. And you can sit on that hill by the car park. Yeah, like he said, anytime a jet spawns, it's gone. Anytime a helicopter spawns, it's gone. Yeah, you can. It's ridiculous. So the Russian team does have the advantage in that regard, but not to their vehicles. But I like that. If the flags were, maybe if the E flag was in a different spot, it'd be better. Maybe if it was on the road to the right a little bit, be more interesting, so it's more balanced. Because so there's like maybe connect the dots type of thing between the 2 different dividing lines. But I like going across the road, and the amount of cover that they added makes it so much more fun. It's a really intense infantry map. That being said, the biggest problem on the map is still the fact that spawn points are still out in the middle of nowhere, which was one of the biggest problems, especially around the ship. You can spawn and just spawn camp the whole team respawning along the ship side, and it's still a problem.
How is the ship? Did they make significant changes?
On the top of it, it's got a bunch more cover and stuff. And the map is like just littered with new debris everywhere, which is really good. But why not? Why not cover up the spawn points with like 1 piece of tin or something like that? It's kind of funny.
Isn't there like a gigantic wall now where C is? Right, there's 2 points on the boat, and there's 1 north of it, right?
Yeah,
the zip line.
Yeah.
And when in the past, you can be on the boat, like on the end of it, and you can like see all the way down to the flag. Isn't there like a giant wall there now?
No, you can mostly still see into the flag radius down there. There's more cover and debris down there for sure.
There's not an extra wall that comes out that's kind of blocking that angle from the top of the butt of the boat, or I guess that would be the front of the boat, right?
I would have to check.
And then looking down to sea area. Oh God, I don't know. I saw it on the picture, so I was assuming that maybe that was like a huge thing, and now you can capture sea like quite easily now.
I can load up the game and check real quick, but yeah, I don't remember it being there.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, maybe the pictures are lying to me. So
Yep,
what
I'm
about
drawing a blank.
really? Okay. Damn. I don't know how much more I can explain with that one. Um. Anyway, I thought they changed that quite a bit there. But anyway, so the gimme flags, uh, are have those been? So those are now the spawn points, right?
No, they tighten it up a little bit, especially on the U.S. side, because the new gimme flag for the U.S. is the car park, or the salvage yard, I think it's called, which is very unique. I think it's one of the most unique flags in the game. I don't think there's any other flag in the map in the game like that's just a big bunch of car debris and buses stacked on top of each other around a hangar.
Yeah.
It makes it really cool.
Uncaps.
It's just really weird that it's there in that spot.
The uncaps are now the older flags, right?
For the U.S. side, the Russian side, I don't think changed
Oh,
because
They're
there's still
still, like,
it's still
on
the
the boat?
boat on the right is the gimme flag for E.
okay. Did they change that boat up at all?
Yeah, added a little bit of cover, I think, but there's not much.
There's debris and stuff like that. I think there's like one extra piece of metal that kind of blocks one little piece. I think that was the only thing I noticed differently out of that flag. There's more debris on the ground too.
So I'm guessing, Zook, the best place is that new place that they added. That's kind of north of C, right? The car park.
The car park up there at the A flag, whatever you want to call it. That, like Grav said, that place it's awesome. If you got a decent amount of people coming into that area, it's a nice, fast little infantry CQB fight. It's nice. It really is. The only issue is once they take A, they're looking down at your spawn. So if you spawn in a tank or anything else, they are waiting on you, and it sucks.
And that gets but that gets you to that second flag, which is like A1 or A2 or B1 or B2, which is like the radar dish. And I like that flag has that big wall around it. That makes it a really cool spot where you have to get into it to go to fight it. And I like that the bunkers inside. It's another good unique flag that is pretty nice.
What about that little town that was there that was kind of flooded?
That's the swamp area I mentioned. Yeah, that's still there.
Yeah, that's the swamp area.
It's still there. I like that place. That's a good place.
It can also have some really good engagement there as well. It's between those two flags right there. It can get fun. It can get real fun.
Okay, I actually have the map up right now, so we're gonna do that. If I can figure out a way to do this. How am I gonna do this? Yeah.
So, what else was that came along with? Oh yeah, UI changes came along with that. Like it's a 4.1 patch that brought discarded. What did they change? Is there anything that stands out?
There's tiny little UI changes, but most of it was I believe was the end of round changes. They kind of fixed some of the graphics and stuff like that. They added the most recent thing I've noticed is like not the best of, but your personal best record at the end of the round. It may show you your personal best record that you received, not just for that round, but of all time. And currently there's a bug with one of them. I think it's the marksman bonus. It's supposed to show you your longest headshot you've ever gotten in the game, but for whatever reason, if you're sniping during that entire round, it adds it up, and you'll see people with like 12,000 meter, headshots.
It does the same thing with tank shells. The system has definitely got a few bugs to iron out yet.
Yeah,
but it looks much better.
The next patch says that they're going to fix that.
Yeah, but it does look so much better on the end of round screen. It's cool to actually show you have a value there that it's going to use you a flash and an audio notification. So yeah, here's the map that we said. So yeah, the US spawn, it used to be like way back here, and they moved it up.
Yeah, so see where C1 is?
Yeah,
I think that's C1. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there's no
wall on it, huh? That's blocking from the Delta 1 and 2. So you can go to like the back of the ship there. You can kind of hang off of C.
There is a wall
right
there
next to it. There is.
There is a wall. Yeah. Julian's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're trying to cap C, there's nothing to really like. There's nowhere to hide to capture it, right? You have to be like on it.
Just shows you how much I've been on that point. There's your wall.
Yeah, see there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before you can shoot straight through all that, but now you have a big wall there in the middle.
You know, it's so funny
halfway.
for how much I played this map. Well, you know what? If I'm up here, I'm normally not looking down in the flag radius. I'm normally looking on those two balconies left and right for the staircases. I don't even, just never caught on. But yeah, that's
I'm not even playing the game. I see.
Jeez.
So yeah,
I feel ashamed. Honestly, I feel ashamed.
Here's the other amazing part of this map rework that they did better with than any other rework so far. Look at the amount of neutral spawn vehicles on this map. It is so much nicer, and people are constantly driving these things around. That is how every map should be. There should be neutral vehicles like this everywhere.
Yep.
And what kind of vehicles are those? Little buggies?
The little buggies. And I think there's a car here, like one of the trucks here and there too. But yeah.
Tesla trucks? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And Tesla trucks. I'm trying to think. I know I saw somebody on one of those little ATVs, but yeah.
The little four-wheelers, they're there.
Yeah, that brings back memories of older Battlefield games that had a lot of those. Especially in BF2, they're just everywhere, you know?
Yeah, so I think if they move this E flag up to the road or something like this, and kind of maybe... I think that might be an advantage, or created something else here. Because this is just weird, because this is always in Russian hands, and then the U.S. team always has A1, and there's just always more flags for Russia than there is for U.S.
Really? Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Because there's just no reason to go over here. It's a cool little environment, but it's like, you still gotta walk, and why not just fight over the cool flags with everybody else?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, this still has a car park in it, right? Those... Is that what A1 is? The car park?
It's the salvage yard.
Or the salvage yard? Okay. Well, that's cool. That's a 64-player version?
This is 128.
Oh. Is the salvage yard in 64-player?
Yes.
Yes. So 64, the A flag is here, and the E flag is, I think, here. So that it's much smaller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, like
said,
A1. Wait.
No. Salvage yard is not in this car park. Salvage yard is not in 64.
That's the new area that they built, right?
Correct, but it's not in Conquest 64.
Great. Another 64-player version that totally deletes the new stuff that they built.
Right, but you get to play it in 128 in Breakthrough, so...
Wait, what?
It's in Breakthrough.
You can play 128 in Breakthrough now?
No, it's in 128 and Breakthrough, so you get to use it in 2 out of 3 modes.
I know a lot of people want that back.
Please.
I'm sure KingZook wants it back.
Yeah, I don't want it back, but...
No, the performance was horrible, man. It was so much more enjoyable with the vehicles and 128.
Oh, I'm sure. Jeez, there's so many more targets, you know?
And then they took it out because people were complaining.
Yeah.
Well, they complained they were getting farmed by helicopters and jets, and I'm like, well, do something about it. Kill them. Yeah.
I couldn't do it when I'm a infantry soldier. I couldn't do shit. I found it way too chaotic. That's why I didn't like, because I'm an infantry soldier, and I go after vehicles and whatnot. But
speaking of going after vehicles, Zook, you have made a name for yourself. Taking down on Twitch and Twitter. For taking down jets and helicopters with that recoilless.
You're using that move with the jet. How do you do that with the jet?
Oh, the rodeo Zook? Yeah.
Yeah. What's that one like?
I try to do that all the time. My problem is that every time I flip it upside down, it just yeets me out of the plane.
So there's a very fine line.
Yeah.
Of what you got to do. There's a very fine line. Normally, I find it a lot easier to do as soon as you spawn into the game.
Yeah, you flip over. Yeah, can you make that bigger there?
Yeah,
make that full screen or something. There you go.
By far, one of my favorite clips, because that's the one that Battlefield actually shared.
Oh,
I was really happy. Yeah, I cried a little bit. I was like, finally, a little bit of recognition, dude. Finally from Battlefield. I mean, they shared it on their Instagram page and everything, but so there's a very fine line. Upside down and try to jump out, but you're going to fall out every single time. What you got to do is turn it upside down and then ever so slightly raise your nose up just a little bit.
Oh.
Now, they kind of fix it where you can't jump out and do that as much. And so there's a few other guys. Pendaz is one, and another guy. Pendaz and Yeezus as well. They figured out.
Yeezus.
Yeezus is a legend, dude. The guy is like, he was my idol. You know, playing Battlefield for a long time and watching how he played, I was like, that's what I want to do. Like he figured out that after this last patch, they kind of tweaked it where you can't just jump out and hit them, whatever, you know. So yeah, you got to raise that nose up, and you'll see your character actually fall out of the jet and fall out of the ground, and then hop back on top of it, and it's really weird.
Oh,
but once you get the hang of it, man, it's easy. I say it's easy.
So wacky that it actually puts you underneath.
Yeah, it'll flip you. It'll flip you upside down, pop you out, and you'll land back up on top. It's really weird. Because in this last patch, I think someone tried to fix it. Because somebody was crying or something. But anyway, we figured out how to do it again. So.
Hey, I mean, it's an only in Battlefield moment, right? The developers don't know like this is gonna happen. This is happening on accident.
Yeah, it really is an accident. It's like, okay, we figured this out. Now, what else can we kind of do, kind of thing?
All right.
Here recently, we've been trying to get a tour tank on top of the F-35 so we can shoot other planes and stuff out of the sky.
Oh no,
it's kind of a hassle, but it can be done. We've done that, and
that's toxic.
we've also had I had my buddy Yeezus fly the F-35 for me, and I sit on top. He flew around the map on what was it, exposure, and I'm sitting on top of the plane, you know, just chilling while he's flying around. And I mean, I shot down another plane while doing that. So we're always trying to find fun and exciting things to do, mainly just to see if somebody in the all chat will get mad.
Exactly.
That's what I live for. I love those comments. Like, I hate you. I'm like, I know. Give me more salt. I love it.
Wait, so all chat's working better? I heard something that they changed something.
I don't know if they bug fixed it or anything. I don't think there was anything in the notes about it, but it seems like more people are using it now.
More people are using it. The only bug that I've noticed with all chat is a lot of people talking in the previous round, and I go to a new round and no one is saying anything. The previous messages are still there.
Yeah, that's been there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can log off and come back on, and those messages are still there. That's the only thing that I'll see bugged out. Unless somebody writes something new, then it kind of erases and starts over again. Other than that, yeah, I mean it's working fine. Other than that, but
is it still off by default?
I believe so. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so. I know I had to turn.
I'm hearing rumblings.
I think it may be off by default. I wish they would turn it on. Yeah. Some people were like, "Wait, there's all chat now." I'm like, "Yeah,
see,
you know, talking in the game, they like, we had no idea." I'm like, "Yeah."
I still think that there are bugs that the system might not work as efficiently in this game as it does in other games. 1, because they have it off by default. 2, because console players can't type at the end of the round. And 3, because it's a lot easier to hit the J key and type as a PC player than it is to go through the whole process of typing on consoles.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah. So you probably see that a lot less. And if half your game is filled up with a bunch of console players, Xbox and PlayStation, you might have just generally less chat.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because like we have to press the start button and then hit the right trigger, and then we can type. Yeah. It's like then we have to use our thumbs and everything, and we're trying to type out, okay, you know, eat my shorts or whatever, and it's like post a comment and that's cool, but there's another little bug that I've started to notice. If you, at least on console, if you write too many messages, and I've had this happen to me multiple times in the last, I had it happen to me twice while I was on stream last night. I think I wrote 2 or 3 messages and it kicked me out of the game and sent me right back to the main menu. As I'm writing the mess, and it's happening while I'm writing the messages, and I can't figure out why. It's probably happened to me over a dozen times already.
Well, that's extremely annoying. That would be.
Yeah, it was.
Did you report that? Man, that's annoying.
Not yet, but it is something I've noticed. It's like If I write more than 3 messages, it'll kick me pretty much to the main menu every time. It's really weird.
Do you only have an Xbox, or do you play on PC and?
I only unfortunately have an Xbox. The only PC I have is this 12-year-old Dell Latitude I'm using right now. So
hey, it's working pretty good.
it barely does. I actually had to change out the RAM or ROM, whatever. I had to upgrade it from 4 to I think it's up to 16 now.
Oh wow, that's so much.
It cost me a whole $40 to upgrade it too.
Oh my god,
That's pretty standard these days. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah. So the vault weapons. Hey.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The biggest feedback that people were giving to DICE is that the vault weapons were just kind of there. And people like sometimes didn't even notice they were there or don't know how to unlock it because it's not really clear. You have to go back into your inventory to see what the challenges are to get them, right? You can use Portal. It's a doppelganger in Portal to play it and unlock it as well, but I don't know anyone that does that. But the main problem is that they were usually buggy at release, or they didn't have 2042 attachments, or that all the attachments were unlocked already, so you have no like progression with that. And you couldn't apply any skins or charms on there. So it looks like the developers are going to answer that feedback pretty soon here. I think in season 5, they're going to release a big batch of it. Not every gun, but
5 or 6 off the bat. It's all the ARs and the Gold Magnum.
All the ARs and for some reason the Gold Magnum. Is it because it's the only Bad Company 2 gun, or am I mistaken about that?
No, but they wanted to do it in batches over time so that they did if something went wrong, they didn't screw up all the guns at once. So they wanted to just do them in batches.
It's fair.
I don't know why they batched it like this, but they're going to do it over the course of like 3 or 4 patches in season 5.
Right. Okay, cool. So we're going to get all of the
not all of the attachments in 2042.
No, I meant the skins.
The
universal skins.
All the universal ones, yeah.
But that's it.
For now, yeah.
Is that what they mentioned?
Yeah, that's all they said. And that's why, frankly, what more do you need?
Okay, I mean, there's other
people. I know people want their custom skins, but I mean, hey, this is a huge step in the right direction if you want cosmetics in your gun, right?
All right. Well, this is all
cool with some tier 1 skins for it too, But
hey, that's what I was asking. Like, maybe they can put that in there too. Would be very nice.
It'd be nice, yeah.
So it looks like they're picking and choosing certain 2042 attachments. I guess that would make sense for these. One of the questions I had for you guys is, are the IR scopes gonna be one of them?
Yes. Thermal. It says it right here. Thermal for the M16.
Oh, yay! Oh, good.
So the one thing that they mentioned was they didn't want to, if a gun already came with a 4x scope or something like that, and they were going to give the 2042x scope, why give the old one? Why stack with 2 4x's? So they just got rid of the old one and kept the new one. So that's fine. They also only put extended magazines in this thing. There's no close quarters, different ammunition types for these guns, for the Portal guns, because they don't, or the Vault guns, because that's so complicated and they don't want major imbalance issues right now with that. They said they'd look into it in the future if the Vault weapons were still massively underperforming.
Yeah, that would be nuts to have the P90 with some CQC rounds. Holy shit. That thing would be worse than the damn K30.
I mean, already right now, an M16 with an extended mag is going to be a laser beam. So I'm
I can't wait. I can't wait.
But they said they're going to rebalance, right? Because of these attachments.
Not really.
They said that in the podcast. Didn't they say that?
Well, I mean, not by much. They're tweaking values a little bit, but then like things like your heavy barrel, I'm not sure. You'll be able to. The values might be a little off or changed, but I don't know if they're changing other things like visual recoil or anything.
So no drum magazines that you guys can see of?
No.
For this first batch? Okay.
I think there was an image that somebody was passing around on Reddit. I think somebody else had made it or whatever it was, but it was an 80K with a drum mag on it. and they were talking about man, could
Oh,
you imagine this gun
Jesus.
with a drum mag? And I think it was a Photoshop thing, but
Yeah.
they were passing around on Reddit. I was like, dear God, do not add that.
So what about charms? Did they say anything about charms?
No.
No.
Interesting. I thought that would be like a big package there, and you could just put whatever stupid charm you want on there.
They also said that
Okay.
because they've been working on this, they did not add any more vault weapons this update, this big patch.
Right.
So,
Right.
but they also said there's more coming, and one of them will have a 50 in the name. So
It's probably going to be the 50 BMG.
they said it was a
Mhm.
past weapon, so we don't exactly know.
Yeah.
See, the only thing they say anything about the 50, the only thing I can think of is like the 50 cal sniper they had on Battlefield 4. That's the only thing that comes to mind.
That was a pickup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A battle pickup.
I mean, Deagle's also
God.
50 cal too, but it doesn't have 50 in the name.
True.
I wouldn't mind a Deagle. That would be kind of like lackluster, but
Suppress
still,
Deagle? Come on, man.
it
But yeah,
would be really cool.
But there's
It
also
would be
still
really
more
cool.
portal guns that they could add to the game. And one of the interesting things, like, they added all those extra World War II-ish guns for 1942.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind those in the main game either.
I would not
That'd be
mind
cool.
those at all.
That would be cool, actually. I'd be totally okay with that.
But there's other guns that they still haven't changed over. Like, there's still portal guns, MG36, the AN-94. Still looking for that in the main game. They still,
Spaz
Yeah.
shotgun.
Yeah.
there's
That'd
still
be
guns to move
awesome.
over. For sure, there's a lot of work there.
Now, do you guys think when they do get those new ones over, will they from here on out, will they have the universal skins and 2042 attachments?
I would assume so.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I hope so, because that's gonna just confuse more and more people about it. But I'm always looking forward to new guns for 2042, always, because that'll bring me back. And trying to go for that tier 1 grind, which I'm so happy they brought to this game. And I mean, look at all the players out there playing with all the guns now, right? I've been encouraging that for so long since Bad Company 2. Play with all the guns. You paid for all of them. Try them out. Don't just play with the M16 for like 2,000 hours. Like, come on.
The current trend right now is everybody using the RM68.
Which
I
is
wonder
finally
why.
getting a nerf. Finally.
Oh my! Well, I haven't seen the word nerf and that gun in the same sentence. I've seen adjustments. I've seen adjustments, but not a nerf. Now the G57, thank God they're finally nerfing that thing. That is just annoying as hell.
Dude, this developer that is like in charge of this stuff, I don't know if he's like fit for the job, man. He's saying some wacky stuff.
Oh,
Dude.
Alex Hermoso?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's like just kind of throwing things out there that is not very. They just don't make sense. Like, there's not much explanation about it. He just like almost like has a feeling about it or something, or that you know, he has to wait for feedback from lesser skilled players, which I thought that was kind of annoying. Like, why would you want to wait on that when you know it's obviously imbalance? Why would you wait on that? It doesn't make any sense to me.
And that was part of the feedback that they have for the G57 of like they're going to nerf the
G57,
burst fire mode damage because that's the main starting pistol for players, and they didn't want to have starting players like they didn't want to nerf that too much. But it's been a year that thing's been super strong.
It just seems so moronic. I hate that when they add that to certain games. I mean, even single player games, he's a new player, so we're going to make it as easy as possible for him.
That's why BWT logs is going to be at 4. It's ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, it's so stupid. It's like, dude, no, let them know exactly what the hell they're getting into. Don't make it easy for them. Make them have to learn. So there is a skill gap at least. Something, anything.
Well, there's a history of Battlefield worrying about, or EA and DICE worrying about, the churn in new players. That's the term that they use internally, is player churn. That it comes up and then they just all leave because it's too hard or something. So That was one of the reasons they gave behind the TTK changes for Battlefield 5 is because
that was a disaster.
I don't think
yeah,
I don't think that. I think that whatever statistic they're going by on that, there's so much more to that specific measurement that they're than they let on. Because
I
new players
agree.
join a game, they know it's an FPS game, they play a single player. It's gonna be super hard for multiplayer. That's how it is for any multiplayer game. More than likely, players are going to be turned off by a lack of content, bugs, poor vehicle imbalance, and poor game balance. If you join a server that is getting curb stomped 5 maps in a row by the same team or have cheaters in the game, yeah, I would probably not want to stay in that game too often either.
Yeah, true. And that's what drives me nuts is like you got the big YouTuber streamers and the Twitch streamers and the guys that are not the casuals but put 40 or 50 hours into the game every single week. Those are the guys that keep your numbers up, keep the game going. It's like not the guy that's going to come home and play for 30 minutes after he gets off work and then installs the game because it's too hard or something like that. It's not those guys that are keeping the game afloat.
There's also a thing Battlefield has had a really poor history on, and that's giving instructions to new players. They've had a terrible history of that. There's other games that have tooltips on their loading screens, on their main menus, on their information pages. Battlefield has done such a terrible job at explaining game mechanics and weapon values to new players, and that needs to change.
Yeah, well, I like the little changes that they've been doing for new players, especially in these newer updates. I'm hearing reports of when you start conquests for the first time, you're put into these new player lobbies. You remember that? That's something they're doing now. So if you start up the game for the first time, you are put into these special lobbies full of new players, and I think that's still going on, is it not?
I have no. Well, I mean, I don't know anything
You wouldn't
about
know
that.
it.
I wouldn't know about that. But
Yeah,
first, if they're doing
that's what I've
that,
heard.
that's fine. But how long does it last, and how many games do you get to be in that? Does that? I mean,
You're talking about the sequence that happens when you first load up the game?
No, I'm talking about public lobbies for new players.
Oh, I just remember the first time I played 2042, there was like this little sequence thing where they teach you on how to play Breakthrough
do.
and Conquest.
They do, yeah.
yeah. There's like a infographic thing, yeah. But I don't know anything about that. But that's still not quite what I'm looking for. I'm looking for true, hit this button to repair vehicles. Engineers come with a repair tool. Make sure you use it. The Zook has, this velocity. Does this amount of damage to a vehicle? Things like that.
Right. They got the little tutorial videos that is taking up a whole UI square for the conquest section.
Yeah, no one pays attention to that shit at all. I tell you that.
I don't know why that's there. They can add like more modes on there instead of having this stupid tutorial video.
In my experience, players do not go out seeking tutorials. They learn based off of their experience and little side messages that are very repetitive that they get placed in corners that while they're not doing anything for a moment, they see it and they get it real quick and then they can move on. That's in my experience how that happens.
Yeah, a good UI design goes a long way, and 2042 struggle. their initial UI was just incredibly insane. But the plus system has been evolving, and not that much, but it's something that we actually kind of like. I kind of like. I don't know what you guys think. But
I personally love it.
Yeah,
I personally love the plus system. The only thing I hate about it is the recent change they made for consoles for it.
Oh yeah. Go. What happened?
Well, they switched the buttons up. It used to be I would just have to press the LB left bumper button on the Xbox, and then use my D-pad to select the attachments that I needed. Now I got to press and hold down Y and then hit LB, and then I got to use my D-pad. And it's like you're making me have to do twice as much work throwing up gang signs trying to do my damn plus system. It's a pain in the ass. And of course, you can separate your keys or whatever and reassign them, but you still have to at least press 2 buttons to do it. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, and you can't really do that like in a dire situation, right?
On the fly, no. It's unless you got like 8 fingers per hand, On the fly, no.
I
It
feel
makes it
like
kind of a pain.
I feel like our us PC players have an advantage on you on that. Huh?
Oh, we're not getting into that.
So all I do is hold T, and then I can bind something on my mouse and instantly change to a whole loadout on one button. There's like 2 button presses.
That's nice.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that the options are there for that for PC players. But the newest option that everyone has is that you can remove uh, your attachments that you put on previous.
Yes,
So now,
yes.
is it? I don't know if you guys have tried this in the
I
menu
have.
system.
Yeah.
Can you remove everything?
You can remove everything to its base settings. I mean, you have just iron sight and base everything. It's actually really nice. I like it. I've used it. I've used it already to just take off attachments that I never use anymore that got stuck there, and it frees up a lot of extra space. So you're not sitting there pressing the button 3 times to go over to the long barrel. It's okay. I got
Right.
long barrel and that's it, and I'm good. That's all I ever want to use anyway. So boom, it's done. It makes it a lot simpler. It really does, and I'm glad they made that change. It has definitely become helpful, especially in the situation now that I got to press 2 buttons to select everything. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's something they were talking about since the beginning of the game. Was one of the biggest pieces of feedback, but finally they, after like a year and some change, they finally added that back in. That must have been tough for the UI team, and there must have been a lot more things in the priority list than that. So
yeah,
I guess now they're finally getting to those bottom tier priority lists, which kind of signifies that 2042 may be coming to an end. And I want to get your opinions on this, Grav and Zook. Season 5 is confirmed. Yes, we're gonna get that new map, right? The Zavod / Giants of Corellia, whatever. And we're gonna get like like a regular season without a specialist, basically. Is this indicating to you, especially with what they're working on too, like vault weapons, attachments, and stuff, that season 5 might be the end? What do you think, Zook?
I don't think so. Personally,
Interesting.
like I said, it's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, no, I don't think it'll be the end. I'm thinking for once, I may curse myself by saying this, but I think maybe for once they finally figured out, all right, let's actually stick to our guns. Let's actually finish this game out, do as much content that we do have available that we can create, at least last long enough and be enjoyable and playable enough until we release the next Battlefield. With a case like Battlefield 5, they cut content short on that, and which really pissed off a lot of people. But they cut off content short to work on this game, and you see how this game came out in release. It's like it really wasn't necessary for you to cut the content short if you're gonna give us this, which is a slightly polished turd, if at that. Yeah, I think personally, I don't think it's going to be the end. I think they're going to continue. They might do a full season 5. If we see a season 6, I would be very, very happy to see that. Yeah, I don't think it's the end.
Okay, so you still think they'll do regular seasons? You mean the amount of content we're gonna get for season 5, you would expect for season 6, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not a
yeah.
lot.
It's not a lot. What do you think, Grab?
Oh boy. First off, the season 6 or the year 2 thing. That was the only reason we are still having this debate is if because that one Origin or EA Play leak that had the false thing on there. There's no confirmation of this at all. Would I like to see it? Yes, and for the exact same reasons that Zook said. Keep the content going until, buy time to keep people invested in a Battlefield game until the next one comes out. That's a really good play, or at least shorten the duration between content ending and the new game's announcement. I think as they progressively go through the game and go down the bucket list of things that they want to fix and actually, fixing, the right bugs and minimizing player dissatisfaction. I think the biggest thing that still remains is content. And map diversity is a big one. And if they're going to continue in year 2, I need to see more maps. And that goes for whether or not they release main maps or portal maps, because either one, that would be huge. Yeah. And number 2 is there's still so much more portal content that can be shifted to the main game. And you can play around with it, you can tinker with it, you can test it, you can throw in, I don't care, throw in an A10 into one of the game modes, fix the A10 and throw it in a mode. Just experiment with it. You've got Black Hawk helicopters, you've got all the different vehicles, you've got the BMPs from Bad Company 2 and BF3. Just balance them, tweak them, make them better, or go vice versa and actually make the 2042 tanks and aircraft play like those vehicles, because those actually play better. And just continue to add stuff to the game to make it more unique, because right now they're sitting on a bunch of content that's just going to go wasted.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I totally agree. I hope they really consider your video series, Grav, on the World War II maps. I think that'd be something they can do. Like, if they can put skins on vault weapons, they can add like some things onto those freaking maps that are just barren right now. So yeah, I hope they consider doing that. And I theorized last time with Flex Lanes on the show that they'll continue. I think it was with Flex Lanes. Continue doing the portal content, because we haven't been getting any more portal maps, right, from other series. Now that we're doing this whole Battlefield 4 kind of thing, that to me signifies that maybe we're going to get more Battlefield 4 related or themed maps moving forward. I think that would be pretty cool, or something like that. I would love to see my Battlefield 2 maps be coming in. That would be awesome to get some.
Portal is just the perfect environment to bring back past maps. Like, even if you don't bring back the game modes perfectly, just bring back a BF2 map, bring back a BF4 map, and that's kind of it. It's really a big disappointment to see how abandoned that's been.
Yeah, that is kind of sad, actually.
Well, they said that Portal is just the beginning. That was a tweet from DICE LA. I don't know what the hell they're going to do to continue, but it would be nice if they release a brand new Battlefield game with all this content, with all this Portal content that they already done. Maybe at additional charge. I don't know, or something. It would be nice.
The problem with that is, if it's on a different engine or a slightly different engine version, it's like almost incompatible. Like, it's really, really difficult to technologically take stuff from a past game and put it in this one, like model for model or map for map, without crazy amounts of work. And this is the problem with Portal. Like, on its own, if you separate it, if you had a dev team, a different studio working exclusively on Portal, you could literally, that is the type of game where you could add content over a decade. Fix it, patch it, have microtransactions be your buffer, and keep it going over the course of years. That would that'll be your game remaster thing. You can go off and have another studio make another Battlefield 2041 142 or Battlefield 2042 sequel, whatever. But if you have this other game in the background that is your Battlefield history project, where people can come back and play old maps from the Refractor Engine era and get used to them, that would be fantastic. But they just having it in the same game, I just feel like it's going to be as wasted as like a BR or Firestorm. It's just it doesn't have any longevity whatsoever.
Yeah, that I hope for that. I hope for whatever the secret project that they're working on is not another Hazard Zone. Like, and it's in it's in the same game. They need a separate thing, or maybe they don't. I mean, I don't know how they I don't know how they code these things. That maybe you don't need a separate thing, but with the feedback, people are looking for a free option, man. I think Battlefield they're just gonna have to need that at this point.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine who plays basically nothing but War Thunder now, and he said, the coolest part about, or what could be the coolest part about Portal, especially with all its maps and all its weapons and going through the different battlefields, is if they concentrated on like trying to make it vehicle and infantry style War Thunder kind of thing. It's still Battlefield, but it's like War Thunder in that sense where they can continually just add content and new vehicles and stuff like that from the older Battlefields. I was like, that's actually an interesting concept, and I think that would be pretty cool. It'd be nice if they could do something like that, but I doubt it. Grav, you had said something about the portal weapons, some of the older portal weapons, like the World War II weapons and stuff like that, being possibly added to all-out warfare if they ever did that. There's basic storyline that they have, especially for that map Stranded. They talk about the container ship that has all those weapons and stuff like that. I don't see why they couldn't just add some of those World War II weapons into the all-out warfare because of that storyline. It would make more sense, at least for the guys that are, with the magnifying glass looking it over and going, "Oh, that wouldn't be realistic enough." They could add the Spitfire, or maybe a German Panzer tank or something like that to all-out warfare, and I think that would definitely increase people's attention to the game. It'd make it more fun,
Well,
add some wild stuff to it.
Be a little harder to balance considering you're not gonna. I don't know. You're gonna put APS on a Panzer, right? It's all
right. Yeah, something like that would be good for a single player.
But a BMP, sure, yeah, I can understand. Yeah, those kind of things.
You don't need APS. Just put German soldiers on top, and it'll be fun.
There you go.
I think they should really. I know that they're making the new single player game. I think they should really go for that nostalgic factor of it. People are starting to tend to like that whole nostalgia trip, playing new Battlefield games. Come on, let's do it. I think it'll be a good time to do that.
I think it'd be a great time. I mean, especially the nostalgia stuff, man. Like, at least in the 3-4 years that I've been involved in the Battlefield community period, I didn't know there was a Battlefield community until like the first year after Battlefield 5 release. I had no idea. I used to just play by myself all the time. I had no clue. It'd be really, really nice with the nostalgic stuff, because most of the people that I meet have been playing Battlefield. They're my age. They're young 30s all the way up to the 40s and 50s and stuff like that. We're trying to relive our youth. So like the nostalgic stuff, yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. That's why I was so desperate for Battlefield 3 again. I'm like, God, just give me that back.
Yeah, just have the greatest hits. Like everyone, just sprinkle it around. Don't get it too crazy, But it would be great in the next Battlefield game that like the story takes you to the where Strike a Karkan used to be or something like that. I think that would be really cool to like add a little Easter eggs like that, and you play a whole level through Strike a Karkan in the future. Like it probably looks fucking crazy or something, and then you can probably make a Portal map out of it. Who knows? I mean, that's what they did with the Bad Company 2 map. What was it called again? Well, I'm talking about.
Valparaiso.
Valparaiso, that was it. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with that. Switch it up a little bit. Look what they're doing with the season 5 map. That might surprise us.
I'm looking forward.
Dropping the BF4 name on that. Hey, you got some nostalgia right there. I think they can really capitalize on that with the new single player game that they're developing. Who knows what the Halo man's gonna do, but we'll find out. All right, Zook, Gravity. I think we've covered quite a bit for this show. Got the new updates that are coming out. I think there's one coming out by the time this episode comes out. So yeah, vault weapons and stuff, all that season 5 might be a banger. No more specialists, but we might have some good times on the new map there and all the other changes that are coming out. So
Hourglass
I'm looking forward
to
to it.
next season.
And then Hourglass. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Hopefully that'll be a huge hit. I'm kind of curious about that they're going underground. I thought that was kind of interesting in certain aspects of the map. They had some teases not too long ago about that, but exciting nonetheless.
Yes,
Battlefield's
very.
still going. It's still alive. People are still playing it. And
Has a pulse.
yeah, it has a pulse. More and more new players are coming in. Getting some more Call of Duty people probably, because that is all getting pretty stale. But I'm seeing a lot of big streamers and YouTubers saying, "Hey, 2042 is not that bad. You should try it," kind of thing.
There is that
it's
for
de-
sure. Yeah.
It's definitely bringing in a lot of new players. I can tell you that. Every
Yeah.
match I'm in, I'm in. If I get killed by somebody, it's a level 10, level 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. You know, I very rarely see anybody in the S tier levels at all anymore. It almost feels like It almost feels like skill based matchmaking because I'm like, okay, I know, I kind of suck, but man, you know, me with some older players, please.
And that's the other thing is that, I mean, at the end of the day, that next season after 5, if they even do it, it all comes down to player numbers. It all comes down to sales. And the cool thing is, I think the 2042 dev team, and at least the community relations team, have really got themselves on a good roll. Like, they've got the community updates, they've got their podcast. This is fantastic. And after, 2 more months, are we just going to see all of that drop off the face of the earth? And then just forget about that next game. This is a really good state that they're in as a dev, at least for community relations, and it'd be a real shame if that didn't continue in some form, even if they didn't have anything post season 5.
I think they'll keep up with the communication. I think they will. I mean, that was anybody that's been on Twitter the last couple of years can tell you that was the main bitch from just about every single person that y'all have got to communicate with us constantly. Can't leave us in the dark. Y'all got to let us know what's going on. Otherwise, people will get pissy and people drop out of your game. And you're right. With the level of communication that they've had the last couple months, it's been really nice because it kind of seems like we're finally being heard. And you know, they're giving us details that we're asking about and their Battlefield podcast and everything. I watch it every time it pops up, and even if it has nothing that I need to know, it's just nice to know, you know, something, anything.
Yeah.
So
That is one of the biggest reasons why I started the Battlefield show, was because DICE during Battlefield 5 went completely dead silent.
They were dead silent.
They had something going with you know, playing the new Pacific update, and they had all the people there. It was like a, you know, play along session where the devs would explain what they changed, and then after the, you know, the TTK update came around, dead silence for the rest of the whole entire thing. And I was like, dude, why is nobody talking about Battlefield right now? Let's make our own podcast, you know? There were barely any podcasts out there. And
no one was talking. No one was talking.
No,
then there was a mass. Yeah, and then there was that mass exodus from out of DICE. It seemed like every other day on Twitter, at least, there was another person leaving DICE. You know, especially right towards the end of Battlefield 5. Well, you know, it's the same copy paste statement. Well, I've enjoyed my time here, but it's time to move on to greener pastures. I'm like, yeah, you're quitting because you can't stand to work here anymore.
Yeah, that's my assumption on that too. Is like, just probably wasn't a great environment to work with. But anyway, they got a new team. Hopefully, Vince Zampella can turn things around and make Battlefield exciting again, man. Like, holy shit, let's get that going. They got some really talented people over there for sure. And I like the dedication they have to 2042. So keep that up over there. And I'm always listening to the podcast as well. They need to keep that up as well. That's a huge thing for our community. So anyway, we'll leave it there. And we'll be back hopefully next week for some more Battlefield show content. KingZook, thank you so much for joining us this lovely Sunday. The episode should be coming out this week, so look out for that, and don't forget to listen on the podcast platforms as well, and on YouTube. If you want to see the video version, go onto the official Battlefield YouTube show. Links are down below, all that good stuff. KingZook, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank y'all both very much.
Where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitch. You know, just KingZook SF, or they can find me on Twitter at StandingFast85. Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, YouTube as well. Same name.
Great.
That's pretty much where y'all can find me.
Awesome. And Gravity, thank you so much for joining us once again. All right. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you on the next Battlefield show. Good night.